Hey, Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today with sketch 18 or week 18 of the sketches for 6x6 paper pads, and this is my layout based on the sketch. That is the left-hand side with the title, and then this is the right-hand side just for a little close-up, and I actually have journaled in that, and I didn't journal only because I wanted to get these pictures taken. So that was the sketch. Again, I can't show it to you or provide it to you for print because it's not mine to do that. That is property of Allison Davis from Scrapbook Generation. But the sketch calls for 6 photos, 1 6x4, and then 5 3x4, and then a whole bunch of banners at the top and then at the bottom. So using 6x6 paper pads, you're going to cut 4 3x3 squares. And what I was trying to decide there was I kind of liked it on the blue. I am actually using a kit. This is Paige Evans Whimsical, and I am using a scrap room kit and the 6x6 paper pad that I actually happened to recently pick up at either Michael's or Joann's. I think it was Joann's. And so that blue cardstock is what came with the kit, and I thought maybe I might steer away from my white cardstock, but I actually really like the way that the photos pop on the white and the way that the cardstock, that the pattern paper pops on the white much better, and so I'm going with that. I print my photos from home, so my 3x4s I have just printed on a 4x6 or a 6x4. And now what I'm doing is I am digging through all of my old LE Studio 3x4 cards. I stick them all together in that kitchen organizer, and I am just sorting through them. I actually need to organize these. I think I want to color coordinate them just like I've done with the other embellishments. So I haven't done that. And so what I'm doing is I'm digging through looking for something that has either that pink or that coral color or the yellow or green or a blue. And I really want that kind of tealy blue that is in that photo with the stars that you can also find in the photo with the florals. And because nothing is color coordinated, it's taking me a little bit longer, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with. I'm going to use that card there as a placeholder, but these pictures don't have a lot of color in them in reality. The most eye-popping color are my daughter's hat and shirt, and so I definitely want something that contains a little bit more color there, but not too much color because I don't want it to detract from the colors that I'm using for my banners. So the sketch calls for banners that go all the way across the top and all the way across the bottom. So I am going to cut 4 different pattern papers, and you'll see what I'm doing here is I am actually putting top and bottom, head and tail, so that they match. You will see from my pictures that I actually change them up, and I will do that. I believe I do that on camera because I like the variety much better. This is very uniform. And I feel like it's almost distracting because it moves your eye. Instead of the flow that goes across the page, I feel like the flow just kind of goes top to bottom. And you don't bounce up and down top to bottom on the page. You literally just kind of go top to bottom and have to take in the whole thing. Whereas I would like you to see some of the elements a little better, if that makes any sense. So what I'm figuring out here is where I am going to notch these squares. So I'm going to find the middle, and then I believe I went 1.5 up. So it would actually be 3 millimeters, 3 millimeters, 3/8 of an inch into the paper towards the center, and then just from the corners cut into that spot, and then I'm just going to use the other pre-cut banners as a template. Because I cut 4 at the same time, the paper shifted, and so they end up all being slightly different sizes, which doesn't bother me. I actually like it that they're not exactly the same. I like that little bit of disparity between the banners. So I'm going to bore you to death, and for some reason I don't edit this out, which is what I would normally do. Like when I fussy cut, I show it to you at the beginning and then keep on going. But I think the reason that I don't is because, yes, I'm going to anchor them down. And as I anchor them down, this is where I decide that I'm going to shuffle them. So you can see that I've shuffled the yellow and that aqua or that blue teal there. And then I will probably change up some of the others as well. Something that I do off camera and is actually not in my final photos is I also am going to take some souffle pen, no, they're glaze pens, Sakura glaze pens. And so I'm going to take the yellow pen and I'm going to just very faintly outline tone on tone the yellow card, the coral card, and the teal card that is there. And it has a little bit of, because it's glaze, it's got a little bit of shine to it, which just adds a little bit more to the page. I love these banners, and I love the way that there's a ton of color on the page because the photos don't have a lot of color, and so I felt like using these papers brought more color to the page. But I wanted a little bit more, I'm just going to say, pizzazz to it. And so I felt like that just added that little bit of to the page. Not necessary, but something that I wanted. So I'm going to keep notching all of these, and you'll find some shuffling that goes on. I also rearranged that 3x4 card. I had a coral one sitting there, and I narrowed it down to 2 that highlights with the yellow that is sitting there. And the one that I'm actually going to end up using is what is underneath it. And the reason I go with that one, again, is because it's got some color to it. So again, you saw me kind of figuring out how I'm going to shuffle these around so that it moves your eye through and across the page instead of just bam, straight down to the edge. Although with the title in there and the florals in there, it does get pretty busy. So now what I'm going to move on to is the sketch calls for strips. So 1/4-inch strips that go all the way across the top and then all the way across the bottom. And in the sketch, the strips are striped, which I really liked the idea of, but I didn't have one that was going to show. I felt like I needed to use a darker color, so I went with the dark blue that is in the star paper, and I went with that teal too because it was easier to come up with. So then I thought I'd use that 6x6 navy with the butterflies on it there, but I didn't like that. It's actually easier to see looking at it from this video, but as I was creating, I felt like those blues were hard. They were either in your face or not quite as visible as I wanted them to be. So I'm kind of just going to sit on that for now. But in the meantime, the sketch calls for florals at the top left and at the bottom right. And so I'm going to fussy cut these florals. This is from the scrap room kit from probably some time ago. That's been sitting in my stash, but what spurred me to use this was that 6x6 paper pad that I did buy, and then I went and found all of the embellishments. So while I was fussy cutting it, I saw this diagonal stripe on the back, and I thought, you know what, it's not dark, but it's subtle, and it provides that kind of header to the page and grounds things, and I really liked it. So that's what I'm going to go with, and I didn't feel that I needed a top and a bottom. I just wanted that top piece, and then also in the sketch there's hand stitching underneath if you felt that that was something that you wanted to do, which was not something that I wanted to do, so I just left that. So what I just skipped ahead is I literally fussy cut all of those flowers. I also went to my manual die cut machine and used an Echo Park die. This is one that you will see me use a lot. I have used a lot, and just cut out some greenery to further embellish with. While there are lots of green leaves, I didn't want all the same leaves. I wanted a little bit of variety to kind of give that flow to the florals. Some of them I am going to pop. I did try and stick with the colors, the primary colors that I've used here, which is that salmon, the green that's in the floral, the yellow, and the teal there. And so that's what I've got. And I'm going to create 2 of those clusters and tuck in a little bit of extra green. And then per the sketch, the title is on the top left. And I am not doing that on camera because the title and I, we didn't get along very well. And there is an awful lot of me sticking things down and taking them off and sticking them down and taking them off. And actually what I ended up sticking down, I did not film. So these are some fun pieces, some embellishment pieces from, actually this is from Paige's Truly Grateful collection, but I liked the flower was what I was drawn to, and the yes, and I liked that the wood veneer actually went with these great big giant wood sculptures. So the story behind these photos is we went to Indy to visit my parents. They moved into a new house and we wanted to see them with COVID. I know we're not supposed to leave home and all of that fun stuff, but these are my parents, and who knows when we were going to see them again. They usually come out and see us, and they can't do that, so we went to see them. And from Indy, we decided we wanted to have a little bit of a summer vacation, and so we were going down to southern Kentucky and northern Tennessee, which was actually kind of a jog on our way home. And we belong to a garden here in Virginia that has reciprocal rights. And so we saw this garden down 65 on our way to southern Kentucky. And while it wasn't directly on our way, it was close enough. It wasn't too far off of our path that we decided it would be really cool to see these. Michael and I think we've actually been to this garden before when we first met, to be honest. These giants were not there, but they are wood. They are made from wood, and they are, so that's why the title for this layout is Giant Fun. And then the other page, just to tie the two pages together, I have at Bernheim, and I might write in Arboretum underneath there. I might actually stamp it with some of the small Jane Alphas, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. But I kind of like Bernheim because it tells you a little bit more about where we are. So I have the embellishments that came with my scrap room kit. I also have some embellishments that I picked up from this whimsical collection from Tuesday Morning. And the problem for me is that I want to use all of the things because I like all of the things. And so I always find that I have to cut myself off, that I could just keep sticking things on. And you'll find that I have actually stuck things on from the things that I leave this video with. I've got a chipboard cloud that I stick in there. And then because I was messing around with, so what I thought I wanted for fun for my title was actually some Vicki Boutin. She's got some really cool large funds, but I really wanted giant to be big. And so those funds were too small. But as I was doing that, I found some Vicki Boutin fun stuff. And so I'm going to use two of her hearts to just kind of tie that together, and you'll see that in those close-ups coming up. So what I'm doing now is just further embellishing. So in the layout, in the sketch, it's actually fairly simple. You just have the floral clusters and the title, and that is it, with the journaling card where the journaling card is, or the journaling. But I wanted to just add some fun things. I have all of these lots of fun things, and I thought I'm going to use these fun things. And so I'm just kind of showcasing things, trying them out, seeing what works, and really just using them. It's not that they need to be there, but I love the way that that butterfly kind of adds a little movement to that row straight across. And I wanted something where that label is sticking out on the LE Studio journal card. And so I'm going to end up actually with a chipboard butterfly there. And so going back to the title, I'm going to use some giant foam black giant. And yes, it really is the only black in the page, but there's also a lot of dark in the photos, so I wasn't worried by that. And then there is the dark flowers that they're not black, but they're dark. And so that creates some balance between the top left and the bottom right hand side of the page. And I felt created movement from that top left through the photos to the journaling down to that bottom right cluster there. And that flow of the banners also created some of that movement as well. So that, my friends, is going to pretty much wrap up the layout. The second class should be getting underway soon. There are only 2 more sketches left for me in this class, so you will see 2 more 2-page layouts, and then I kind of don't know what I'm going to do from there. Maybe I may revisit some sketches, maybe I'll try some other sketches, but I have a lot of photos that I want to do 2-page layouts for, so definitely you will see more 2-page layouts from me than you've typically seen in the past prior to this particular class. So enjoy the close-ups. If you have any questions about anything I've done, please don't hesitate to leave them in the box down below. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. Come back again soon. Take care.